Geno Pettis Adventures. I'm still Geno. That's Felix. Giant Lifestyles. My main man.
Giant Traveler.
Giant Traveler. Okay. Well, he's got so many channels. We don't know which one to bring him up on. I think he's talking about dating today. Well, this is for all you guys out there that we talk about stem cells, we talk about hair, we talk about trading, we talk about all sorts of stuff. But today we're going to talk about number one, girls, how to find them, how to get them, how to keep them. And Felix, why don't you tell us how you got yours?
Yeah, so I met my girl here I live in Medellin. So I'm actually in, this is a new background that I'm in. I'm in my brand new apartment. This is my office. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment, 2 balconies in a really great neighborhood of Medellin that has no tourists, no foreigners. You won't see a single foreigner where I live. Probably the only foreigner, and my rent is, with the current currency conversion, it's around $600, maybe a little bit less when the peso keeps going up and the dollar keeps going down. So I met my girl through a mutual friend, I had a friend who knew a girl, and that girl knew my girl, and we kind of just connected that way. And even though when I first met her, I spoke literally zero Spanish, now my Spanish is probably around 30% or 40%, maybe even a bit more, depending on how fast people talk to me. But, I didn't meet her on Tinder. I didn't meet her on any dating apps. And, I think if you stay off those sites and you just come to Colombia, and I was talking to somebody else about this, if you just come to Colombia with an open mind and not really like trying to find somebody, just putting yourself out there and whatever happens, I think you'd have a better chance, because I see when guys like try to force it and try to be too needy, something bad happens. Maybe they get robbed, maybe they get drugged, maybe a whole variety of things could happen. But I've been with my girl for over a year. My Spanish is drastically night and day, and she adds value to my life. It's not just, I'm in a position in my life where I'm trying to build, and a female's beauty is not the only thing I look for. You can definitely find that at the snap of a finger out here. It's Colombia. There's a lot of beautiful women, but beauty isn't the only thing. If you're looking for quality, don't just look at beauty. If you don't care, if you're just looking for something for the night, then you could definitely find it. But that's how I met my girl. I met her through a mutual friend, and I've been with her for over a year.
Cool. Well, that's good, because I met mine on the other side. And on the other side was I met my wife on LatinCuba.com. And that's where we developed a relationship and found them. But you're right, because a lot of people call me, and like right here, this is going to sound so funny, in the neighborhood, and just show up and just be, they like interesting. They can tell you're not from here. And there's some really quality ladies. I mean, the ones around here, they own the drugstore. They own the freaking drugstore. It's theirs. They divorced their old man, or he died, or whatever, and they're just good, solid women. So you can find them both ways. The way Felix found his, the way I found mine, and a myriad in between. You just got to show up and look. You don't even have to show up and look. You can go online and find it too. But if you go online, you got to be careful.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to knock what you did, because it definitely worked for you. But I would say that if you're doing what most foreigners are doing, you have to be very careful. And, Geno found a great woman, so they're definitely out there. But no matter where you go in the world, I think you need to vet them. Like you need to ask questions. You need to watch how somebody moves, because it's easy to fake who you are for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. But after time, and it's, when someone's on something that has an ill intention, they usually show their cards or their colors quickly. But, just have to really ask questions and vet them. But there are good women out there. And I think in America, but I've had way better dating experiences overseas. So I would say if you're looking and tired of like just the type of women that you might find in the States, you might be a little bit better off in Colombia. I'm not saying there's no bad women here, because there's bad women here. There's bad people here. But I've had way better dating experiences in the United States than I have inside the United States. Let me get my charger.
I saw the twins the other day were talking about it's 5 times harder to find a woman in the United States that is 25% as good as our grandma was. That's some crazy statistics. That's some crazy statistic. Go ahead.
I believe it, because all the girls in the States are like, we're boss chicks, so we don't need a man. We want to be independent. And listen, I'm not saying I think to an extent you should be independent, like you should be able to pay your own bills. But if you can't get on the guy, your man's program, and you can't be a team player, or you don't want to listen, it's there's nothing worse than trying to date someone who you try to give them advice, or you try to hey, let's do this, this is what we're going to do, and they want to rebel. And that's, you don't want to date, you don't want to, I don't think you want me, I don't want to date someone that doesn't have a backbone, but I don't want to date someone that is so strong on their idea that they can't be a team player. So yeah, I mean,
well, that's a whole
I wouldn't
thing.
personally date in the United States ever again. That's just me.
No, me either. I'm done. But the whole thing is that the women here in Colombia actually give a damn. They actually love you for being you. And I'm sure there's those women in the United States. I just did in 64 years. I never found one. Or maybe I did. Maybe I lost them. I don't know. There's every story's got 2 sides. No matter how thin you slice the salami, there's always 2 sides. But the women here are definitely more old school, and they take care of you, and they care about you. They feed you. They take care of you. They go with you. They back you up. And there's not a lot of hockey, and they're not. Well, I wouldn't want to say easy, but I mean they got some fire in them, and if you screw around or do anything wrong, they're going to light you up about it. But they should. No. It's
it's a lot easier to date. It's a lot easier to date here. Obviously you don't want a chick that's gonna you're not gonna just be able to walk all over her, but you want a chick that's a little bit more, who is more compromisable and more of a team player. And it's you'll just find more a girl here is more willing to pull out her wallet. My girl buys stuff all the time. She's like, hey, I bought this for you. Hey, I bought you lunch today. Obviously there's definitely but it's just easier here. I heard somebody say it, when you take if you bring $1,000 a month here, it's easier to pay your rent. It's easier. You can pay your rent with $1,000. My rent is $500-600. Gino's rent's even cheaper. So when you take kind of money out the equation, and I'm not saying to lead with your money, you can kind of have an easy, I don't know how to say it, but you can kind of have an easier, you're at an easier playing field.
You're not struggling about the cash all the time. You're just, you can actually go do stuff that's not wrapped up in, I got to make $100, it's just a lot easier. And it's just more relaxed when you don't have that pressure, that super pressure of, we got to have that $50,000 Beamer or $80,000 Beamer, and we got to have that $1 million house and all that. I mean, that doesn't fly here. And you're right about I mean, Maria buys me stuff all the time. And she goes, see, I love you, and I think about you all the time, and I'm a dumbass sometimes, and I used to forget to buy her stuff, but not so much anymore. So it's just they're different women than we have in the States. Much different.
100%. Especially if you find a good one, you'll have a completely changed perspective, and you'll never, I can't tell you how many guys I've met who I asked them, would you ever do any sort of dating in the States again? And they just laugh at me. How would you recommend somebody maybe who's coming down here, maybe they're sick and tired of the dating in the States? What would you say to them? What would be some of your recommendations? Maybe you can give a recommendation, and then I could give a recommendation.
Well, what I would do is, just depending on where you go, I don't think you want to really just go where all the tourists are. And I mean, you've got to get out and find the country. You got to find the city where the Colombians are, not where all the tourists are. And like out here in the country, if you just show up and hang out in this little town, if you show up and stay at a hotel here, the whole freaking town is going to know you're in town within 2 or 3 days. And you just meet random people on the street that will sit down and talk to you, and you can invite people for coffee, but you just got to show up and you got to get in the game, and you can't be a butt. You can't be arrogant and condescending. You have to be a humble. You can be forthright, but you have to be more humble. But everybody's going to talk to you here. So it's easier to get out and see the real people than it is if you're like in El Poblado, in Medellin, or some other places where it's just straight up tourists and expats. So I like to hang away from the expats because I like Colombia. I mean, I didn't come down here to live with expats. There you go.
I totally agree. Like I said, I'm in Medellin, so obviously there's way more tourists. But if you go where Geno's at, you know, you want to set yourself apart a little bit. And the crazy thing, I was gonna say this, but you really don't even need it. It could be at a very minuscule level. You don't even you need to know a little bit of Spanish. But if you don't know Spanish, like and you show up in a town where you're the only tourist, dude, they're gonna teach you Spanish and they're gonna love on you. And Colombians, like I said, there's good and bad people everywhere, but Colombians are some of the most welcoming and nicest people. And I bet someone was calling me. If you just show up, and if you show up in a town where they never seen a tourist, you're gonna be like your value goes up. You know those ball players in the States that got hundreds of millions of followers and hundreds of millions of dollars. You are one of those ball players because they never seen you. Yeah. You look completely different. You speak English. And the chance of you being able to, you know, maybe you won't be able to know if they're good or bad, but you will be. You're like the 1%. And if you're a normal average guy making $35K a year in the States, you're nothing. But if you come here with $35K, you're literally a 1% man. Now I'm not saying lead with your money. I'm not saying try to be flashy. But if you know, you can live an incredible lifestyle. You can learn Spanish, and you could literally be at the top of the totem pole. Everybody will want you. You're not. Nobody's ever seen you before. Nobody's ever seen somebody like you. So for you to find somebody you'll have no problem finding somebody. But yeah, like I would say, even if you are in Medellin or you are in Cartagena, go where there's no tourists. I'm in a part of Medellin where I don't ever see tourists. I see them from time to time, but it's very rare. I haven't heard of English. I haven't heard of English, but I heard one person who spoke English all month in September.
Yeah, I can believe that. Well, like if you see an American or a gringo here, it's probably because I brought them. It's, you know, the people don't jump around here. And then I worry about that too. I said, you know, when we were in Mexico this last week at Lake Chapala, it's like I don't know, man, Little Dallas or something like, or Miami, because there's all of the Americans and Canadians and all the English speakers are all wadded up there, and I didn't like it very much, and I don't want to turn where I live into that.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah, so I 100% agree.
That's it. Well, Felix, I think we gave them a pretty good run for their money.
Cool. Yeah, I just wanted to jump on with you and let people know how if they come here, if they can make at least 2 G's online per month, or less. I mean, you could do it with less.
You put yourself out there. Probably at least 1,000. At least 1,000.
Yeah, I would say at least 1,000. I'd say 1,500. If you could pull in 1,500, if you could pull in 2 G's a month, and you're living in the States with no debt or no ties to the States, I don't understand why. But yeah, come here, learn some Spanish, put yourself in a position where you don't see any tourists. You can find some really cheap living, and you'll probably with time find a really great partner that you can build your life with. And if you don't want a partner, if you don't want a relationship, and you just want something for the night, I'm telling you, there's no shortage of that. There's some of the most beautiful girls in the world here. So, you know, if you don't really care what they come with, baggage, if you don't care if they come with any toxic traits or red flags, and you just want something for the night, you'll have an endless supply of that. But if you want something
But what you
solid
got
in
what
your
you got to
corner,
know too,
you
and
can find that as
correct
well.
me if I'm wrong, Felix, but a lot of the women are single moms, and they bust their
Oh,
butt. They
yeah,
bust their butt, and they're
it's-
good women. And just because they're a single mom, don't let that hold you back either, because they're not. It's just not weird like it is in the States if you're a single mom and
Yeah, it's a whole
needy.
different world out here. There's you'll see girls working 3-4 jobs out here. So,
Yeah.
you know, the mentality to go get it and not say, hey, you know, where's the government to pay my bills, or I need
Well, there is no
I need someone
government to
else
pay
to,
their bills.
yeah,
You know?
that too. That it's either, you know, do the work or you're gonna be screwed.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for jumping on here with me, brother. Remember, the first day of the rest of your life, nothing changes. Nothing changes. So Felix and I will see you on the flip side.
Thank you, Geno.